saw Daniel's mock draft, his new one, and a couple of names surprised us there. Daniel, kind enough to join us. Let me start with the running backs here on how you valued and devalued some of these running backs, Daniel.
Yeah, look, it's interesting, Dan. You come out of the combine and you go down there to Indianapolis. You get a chance to not only watch these guys in the field, you get a chance to talk to the teams that have had a chance to visit with the kids one-on-one. So you get a sense of who they're liking and maybe who they're a little bit concerned about. So when you watch those guys run around, I thought McCaffrey definitely is on the uptick. You know, Dan, you can make a case watching him go through the receiver portion of the workout that he was the best receiver at the combine. So you've got some flexibility with what you can do with him. So I think he's definitely moving up. Fournette, just his combination of size and speed, I think he's pretty secured to be the first back off the board. And then Dalvin Cook, who is a great player on tape, he didn't have a great workout. And just when you talk to people around the league, I got a sense that people really like him, but I just didn't get the sense that people were talking about him in the same way they were about McCaffrey. And when I'm doing those mock drafts, again, it's not really how I see the player. It's what I'm hearing and the way I think the teams will go.
Where does Fournette go?
I think he's going to go in the top 10. I think when you look at Jacksonville potentially could make some sense there to give them an offensive hammer. And then you also look at Carolina. I mean, he to me just seems like the perfect fit. I mean, you want to close out a game in a 4-minute offense with Cam Newton and Leonard Fournette. Yeah. That's the way to do it.
Where's McCaffrey go?
You know, I've played around with him in different places. I think he's going to go in the top 20, Dan. I think he's just such a unique weapon that you can use. And I think the fact that you can play him running back, you can play him in the slot, he can return kicks, and he's so dang smart, you're going to give him a ton of volume, and he can handle it. So I think the coaches are going to fall in love with him, and I think at the end of the day, he'll be a top 20 pick.
Well, you have him as 11th overall, don't you?
Yeah, and look, you're just playing around with different scenarios on some of those. The Saints are going to look; they're going to probably go defense.
They should.
I don't think he'll end up there. Yeah, no question. But when you're putting these things together, Dan, I just allowed myself to drift off and wonder what it would be like to see Christian McCaffrey in the slot with Drew Brees, see what could happen. All
right, and then Dalvin Cook, is he still a first-round pick?
I think so. I think he'll go in the first round. I think one of these guys is going to slide a little bit, and that's not – it's going to be really because of the depth more than anything else of this class, is you're going to have teams sitting there saying, man, I really like Dalvin Cook. We can go get the kid from Tennessee, Kamara, in the next round, or we could wait a couple rounds and we can get Marlon Mack from South Florida. There's just so many backs this year, and that's why you've seen in free agency not a lot of action with these running backs, not a lot of money.
What does Jimmy Garoppolo do to the first round if he's traded?
Well, definitely would shake things up, because I think the only team that could really pull it off would be Cleveland. And one of the main storylines has been all this draft capital that Cleveland has built up for this year and next year. So I would imagine it would cost them a good chunk of that to get Garoppolo. So, man, if they we'll find out if they like Jimmy Garoppolo or if they love Jimmy Garoppolo based on if they can get this done, because I think the Patriots are going to make him pay the love-it price.
Do you think that he'll be traded?
I don't think so, just because everything says that they should trade him, and that's when New England goes in the other direction. So I think New England just looks at it and says, look, the insurance policy for Tom Brady is more valuable to us than a player we can get with the 12th pick. And they may be right there. It's a different way of thinking, but they don't operate like everybody else.
All right, let's look at the quarterbacks then, because I don't think we have a starter in the bunch, at least coming in to start. But the first quarterback off the board is?
Oh, man. I have Watson, but I have no confidence there in terms of how that's going to shake out. Personally, how I've had him stacked up, I told you last time we talked, Dan, like I was having commitment issues trying to land on one of these guys. And then, watching more tape and then watching the way Watson threw it at the combine, which I thought he threw it really well in the workout. I thought he did the best feed of everybody, and the interviews from people I talked to were off the charts. So I ended up going with Watson as my top quarterback at kind of the end of the process here. But I agree with you. I don't think any of them are going to come in and play right now.
How's my guy Solomon Thomas? I fell in love with him.
He's easy, Dan. He's my 4th overall player in this draft right now. And his workout, he ran in the 4.6s at 270-plus pounds. All of this stuff was off the charts. And I've got a chance to meet with him as well. He's an impressive kid. So to me, I think he's locked in as a top 10 pick. I'd take him in the top 5.
Well, I watched him. That was the bowl game that McCaffrey wasn't playing in, so I tuned in to see how Stanford would play, but also I wanted to see Trubisky. And then next thing you know, the best player on the field is Thomas from Stanford.
Yeah, it was the most dominating game by a defensive lineman this year. I mean, any that I've seen, Solomon Thomas against North Carolina in the bowl game was the most dominant performance. And then, to me, I love the fact the kid, the year before when they went to the Rose Bowl against Iowa, they had so many injuries on the front, Dan. He's 260 pounds, and he played the nose for them in a 3-man front, which you want to be 320 pounds to man that position in that defense. Didn't complain about it, sucked it up, and was actually pretty darn good in there, giving up, 50, 60 pounds a man. So that just kind of speaks to, A, what kind of team guy he is, but then just how dang strong he is.
It's strange, though, every year at the Combine, it feels like people are talking about what they can't have. So then this became more about the quarterback who's going to be available next year. And right? I mean, Sam Darnold, if Sam Darnold's available now in this draft, where's he go?
Yep. Well, Dan, the NFL frowns on us talking about these underclassmen, but I can tell you that he would definitely only need to bring one suit to Philadelphia. And he might not get dinner. He might have to make dinner reservations in another city.
He would go quickly. But everybody was talking about, Sam Darnold, man, that'll be great next year. And I'm going, you know, and then next year we're going to be talking about a quarterback who you can't have until the following year.
Yeah, we'll be talking about some freshman from some other school.
But the NFL does frown upon, they don't like you talking about somebody not eligible?
Yeah, they don't want us talking about underclassmen because then we could be, they don't want to upset the relationship with the colleges that we're encouraging their players to leave early. So that's from the scouting side of things. And then, it is the NFL Network, so I figure I better keep to that.
Deshone Kizer at Notre Dame?
Dan, look, I thought his 2015 tape was the best of this draft class. You compare how anybody played this year and last year. Last year, he was as good as it gets. I saw him against Texas. He looked like he could be the first overall pick. Then it went down for him. It went down for the team. And then I had him as my top quarterback. I was clinging to 2015, and the losses kept piling up, and he wasn't playing well. And then we got to the Combine, and I saw him sail a couple stationary targets. I saw his feet kind of all out of whack, and I thought, at some point in time, I can't keep going there.
Not a first-round draft pick?
I think he could go in the first round in the bottom just because of that, the fact that the teams want that 5th year on the contract. Maybe you see a team kind of come back into the bottom of the first round. But if I was guessing right now, I'd say I think he's probably more likely to go in the second round.
Great stuff as always. We enjoyed the mock draft, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you, Daniel.
All right, Dan, take care.
The Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings on Audience.